Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
You're listening to a special edition of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, The Game Sports Show, live from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. Host Dave McCaig coming to you live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booyah! And it's time for the Game Sports Show. You're listening to the show on thegamesportshow.com, thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or through the Scott Neeson YouTube channel. It is March the 19th, 2019, here at Icebreaker Sports Bar and Grill for the Tuesday edition of the Game Sports Show here at the Icebreaker Show, where they have great atmosphere right above the John Rhodes Community Centre rinks, where they have great atmosphere in the restaurant, in the rinks. They have great food. They have great beer on tap, many options available, and such a great staff here at Icebreakers, and obviously to the home to the Game Sports Show for the Tuesday edition, where we talk everything local with a little bit of splash of some professional sports as well that will tease us for our upcoming shows for Wednesday and Thursday. It's yours truly, David McCaig, and I'm going to be joined here in just a few moments by the one and only Brad Coccimiglio for Soo Today, for the Game Sports Show, for Sportsnet, for everything. He is just the best, and I'm going to get him in here in just a few seconds. But I'm going to get through the usual introduction portion, where here on the beginning part of the show, we are going to be talking about some local hockey with the Soo Thunderbirds. They're currently in action while I speak right now. The Soo Eagles, a little update for them, and also just a little bit of local hockey news that will lead us into our part 2 of the show, where we will talk about the Soo Greyhounds and Lake Superior State University Lakers. And if we have some time, as we only have about 45 minutes to an hour on this show, we are going to jump into with possibly Brad if he has time. If not, it'll be me doing a little bonus topics for you leading up to our Wednesday and Thursday show. Scott Neeson will be our board operator tonight, as always. I want to say thank you to you, the listeners, for joining us here tonight for the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Now, for the rest of the week, I want everyone to mark down their agendas. There will be a contest giveaway this week that will be announced either between tonight and until Sunday is when the contest will be posted on our Facebook page, which will lead into our Instagram page. You can follow at The Game Sports Show on Facebook, at The Game Sports Show SSM on Instagram. Now, what's the contest giveaway going to be? It's going to be various, and I say various twice because there's going to be many accessories and options available to the winner. You just got to follow the directions in the contest details that will be posted on the Facebook page or on the Instagram page. So that means, yes, we will have 2 total contest giveaways where you have a chance to win not 1 but 2 great prizes courtesy of our sponsors and the Game Sports Show. Now, without further ado, I bring in the man, the myth, the legend, the beautiful Brad Coccimiglio. He's smiling. I always make him smile. He's a great guy to be around. Now, let me tell you, if you haven't met Brad Coccimiglio, be very surprised, because everyone knows this man. Everyone knows his, let's say, popularity. I want to say that in terms of sports right now, especially here in Sault, Ontario, how he covers everything local. Eagles, even the Thunderbirds. He covers everything for you. And the reason why he covers both, well, in the Game Sports Show, he covers the Michigan side of things. Here on Soo Today, he covers the Lake Superior State Lakers side of things, with the Soo Thunderbirds here on the local side, and obviously with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, as the Greyhounds are going to get set for their first round matchup against the Owen Sound Attack. And we're going to get into the part 2 of the shows, where we're going to jump into about talking about the Greyhounds. So without further ado, let's bring in the guy, Brad Coccimiglio. Bradley, my friend, how are you?
It's like I always say, I'm always good when I get an intro like that. Like, let's.
I always try to top it, but I really can't.
You set a high standard for yourself.
I try to.
Really do.
I do repeat myself on a lot of them, but that's because I've used more words. But I'm going to get to see if I can write bigger words that aren't really my vocabulary down and bring it in next show. I'm at the write on piece of paper.
You're going to need a thesaurus.
A thesaurus. See, I can barely say thesaurus. See, thesaurus. There it is. I had to slow down and think before I said it. Now, Brad, we have lots to talk about in the show, and we only got so much time, here in terms of yourself being occupied, myself being occupied. We got about 45 minutes. You might have a little bit less, so I want to dive right into it. I want to talk about the Soo Eagles. They're down against the Rayside Balfour Canadians. They're down 2-0 against them in their series. They come back and play at Polar Stadium on Thursday, and that is at 7 o'clock. And then Friday, they play at 7:30. And myself, Scott Neeson, we had an amazing show last week from the Wicked Sister. The Wicked Sister, we had the full panel, myself, Scott, EJ, Butch, and even Katie Wolin, part of the sales team at Eagle. And as was announced, I'm now joined on the sales team in Eagle. It's a full panel of people that were on that, and we were talking about lots of things. And we did bring up the Eagles, how they were down 0-2, but they're coming back to the Polar, and that's one hostile environment to play, especially with playoff hockey.
Yeah, that's, for them, that's, the ideal scenario in the sense that, coming home, playing at home is a tough part of playing for any road team. And, obviously not ideal in being down 2-0, but let's face it, when you're in a situation down 2-0, I would almost rather be coming home than having to go on the road down 2-0.
Yeah. Oh, if you lose 2 at home, that's shattering. Shattering.
You're in an awful position if you lose the opening 2 games at home.
Yeah.
But the Eagles are, a team that's, been solid at times this year and has given a lot of very good teams a lot of, tough goes this year. So, I don't expect anything less in games 3 and 4. I expect them to, to come out with a solid effort. I expect it to be a very physical, I expect both to be very physical games. That's we talked about it last week. It's a tough rink to play in, and I'm sure they're going to use that to their advantage here in games 3 and 4.
The Polar burgers are going to be flying off the shelves. The beer, the food, everything's great at Polar Stadium. If you're in Sumish or even Soo, Ontario, and you want to check out a very electrifying atmosphere, it is over at Polar Stadium this weekend as the Eagles continue the series against Rayside Balfour Canadians. Now, flipping the switch to the Soo Thunderbirds quickly. They are currently in action while we speak. And they are down right now in the second period. It's now 2-1. The Thunderbirds have responded, so cut into the lead. There's a minute 34 left in the second period. And I feel silly, before I even jump in this, because I was texting John today and totally blew my mind that yesterday we spent time talking about how the Thunderbirds had a game tonight. And then here I am saying if he's going to come by the show tonight. I don't know what thing I was smoking before during the day here. I know it's been a long day, but John Parker will not be joining us here tonight. We do hope to have him on tomorrow's show from Sportscenter or on Thursday from Northern Superior Brewing Company. But they are up 2-0 on Blind River. Okay, they go to Blind River where, trust me by saying this, is another hostile environment in Blind River. Those Blind River fans do get rowdy. The Dam is definitely getting shooken up in there, and the Beavers believe that they can battle back in this series. The Thunderbirds are top team in the NOJHL, and the Beavers know they were in tough. And when you play against a team that is that high up in the standings, even very impressively higher than most people predicted the Birds maybe to finish than everybody this year, but the Birds are up 2-0, but right now if the Blind River can cut into this series and make it 2-1, it does make it a little bit more tough on the Sioux because they have to go back there on Friday. And that'll be the pivotal point of the series right there if they end up indeed losing this game. But there's still plenty of time left as we talk, as there's still 42 seconds left in the second period.
Yeah, this is a massive game for Blind River. They're in a position where the worst possible scenario is going down 3-0.
Yeah, that's hard to
back. In this league with the 4 teams in the West remaining, I don't know that any of the 4 teams would go down 3-0 and battle back all the way.
Especially against the Thunderbirds.
Because let's face it, between Sumesh, the Birds, Rayside, and Blind River, those are, 4 pretty elite teams in that league and, pretty tough teams. And I feel like any of them going down 3-0 to any of the other ones is a tough situation. That's a tough situation on the best of days, but when you're playing high-end teams like that, you're basically put yourself in an absolutely terrible position. Blind River, this is massive for them. They're goaltending has been good, but they decided to go with a change tonight. Garrett Boyanowski did not start tonight for them. Yep. He did play in
3-1 Blind River just scored.
Yeah, and he did. Garrett played in both games 1 and 2, and I was at most of game 2. I was at the final 40 minutes of game 2, and he played well in that game. He played very well in that game. So obviously those 2 games aren't on him. Those 2 games are just, games where the Thunderbirds were just a little bit better. Again, maybe, the goaltending change sparks that Blind River team a little more, and going into game 3 today. And obviously it's, they're in a good situation right now, being up by a couple going into period 3. So, this is the absolute biggest part, if you're Blind River. Pretty much every game from here on in is the biggest game of the year because, now you're at a point where you want to avoid going down 3-0. Then in game 4, you're looking to avoid going down 3-1. And then all of a sudden you're back in the series and you've got an opportunity to come back to the John Rhodes in game 5 and take a lead if you can get back into the series. So, they've pretty much hit that point in the series where every game is, almost a must win. If you're Blind River at this point, for me, it's, you want to put yourself in the best position possible. And, they haven't done that to this point, but, again, when your back's against the wall and, it's cliche to say it, but when your back's against the wall, the only thing you can do is come out fighting. And, I have no doubt that in games 3 and 4, Blind River is in the process of doing that. And, I have no doubt that they're going to make things tough on the Thunderbirds regardless of how the series plays out.
No, and that's where the Thunderbirds right now are an extraordinary hockey club. And like I praised the talents that they've had on their team and the players that really stepped up and done what they expected of this year. Obviously, Lucas Terrio had high expectations here, and he delivered such. Smith had a great year. McDonald had a great year. The goaltending had a great year. Coaching staff was able to really lock in the chemistry, and everyone was gelling very well. Bazarin, there's he's a force, especially in the playoffs. Big force.
Yeah, big body. He's got some skill.
Yeah.
He's a guy that
he got a chance to play hockey too, like Johnny said. And he's making the most of that opportunity. Now, we do mention how the Beavers are up 3-1 now at the end of the second period, scoring a late goal at the end of the second period, which those last minute will kill you. They'll tell you right now that last minute will kill you in a game, but the Soo Thunderbirds obviously have the talent. They have what it takes to not just get 1, 2, or 3 in a period. They have the talent to get 4 or 5. So Blind River knows they have 20 minutes to really battle here, but the Thunderbirds also don't want to give Blind River any hope here. The Thunderbirds want to win this game to go up 3-0, kind of keep the momentum in their nest. See what I did there? Yeah. That little, they keep giving their nest opposed to going to the dam, giving the dam any momentum. So they want to keep it where they're up 3-0, and they're able to go on Friday where they're up that 3-0, where Blind River obviously is going to play desperation if that does happen. At least you have a bit of time. If you do drop the decision on Friday, you come back home and you're in your home barn. Obviously, Blind River or Sault Ste. Marie wants to get this done quickly, but they have to take it a period at a time, and they have a tough third period ahead of them, and we'll keep you updated as the show goes on, because potentially by the time the show's done, the game might be close, if not finished. So don't count out the Thunderbirds right now being down 3-1, as that might change and can change very quickly. If the Soo Thunderbirds have a very strong team and they're well coached, I'm counting on a very big third period for the Thunderbirds, especially if I have an idea what John is saying in that locker room right now. And I know he's not bringing up that Dave McCaig texted me and I should be on the sports show right now. No, he's in there trying to get the boys fired up for that third period. Good luck to the Eagles the rest of the way, and obviously Thunderbirds and Beavers, and we're going to be covering that throughout every show until the end of the playoffs for either side. If the Eagles do unfortunately get eliminated, or the Birds get eliminated or something, that's when we will keep the coverage a bit. It'll be kind of just quick coverage, but as the Eagles and Thunderbirds continue to their playoff hunt, the Game Sports Show will be here to give you the full update and analysis from yours truly and Brad Coccimiglio. So Brad, one thing I want to ask you, it's kind of a local thing and kind of a little bit off topic, okay, but I'm not sure if you saw the video, and I'm transitioning from hockey, and I might be throwing you on the bus with this, and that's totally fine. You can let me know if I am, because maybe you did see it, maybe you didn't. But Iron Mountain's high school game, about the refs, the controversy with the referee. I'm not sure if you saw that. Okay, I won't even jump into it then, okay? For anyone who wants to hear about it, listen to me and Scott talk about it, because we talked about it for 20 minutes on the opening of the show yesterday, and we talked about it for the first 10 minutes of part 2. So you can go to check out Monday's show from the Wicked Sister for that. But Brad, I'm going to send you the link, and I want you to read what the information is, and we'll get your comments for the next time you're back here on the show if we can remember to talk about it. There was a missed layup that the ref called a travel, and the guy took 2 steps. It wasn't a travel. Then there was an intentional foul, and with that intentional foul, the ref wouldn't blow the whistle. And then when he called the foul, he made the team go take 3 shots when they had a foul left to take, and it made them lose the championship. Very big controversy over there. It's definitely worth the read. So we'll get your reaction next time you're back. I wanted to get your take, but I'm not going to throw you under the bus. Did you see that? Yeah, Dave. Yeah, I saw it. No. So we'll make sure when you're back next time at the Iron Mountain, I'll send you that link. But any final thoughts with the NOJHL playoffs before we go to our first break of the evening?
It's a tough run. I mean, we talked about it last week, how tough these series are, right? And I think we're seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this Blind River Thunderbirds series plays out. After seeing a little bit of action in Game 2, I mean, it's pretty much what I expected. It's physical. It's you could see the rivalry, and I'm sure that Rayside Eagles series is no different. And let's face it, that's what makes playoff hockey a lot of fun.
And the NOJHL has a lot of excitement. Now the Thunderbirds, so they play in Blind River Friday at 7 o'clock. If you want to make the travel down to good old Blind River, let me tell you, it's a great atmosphere to play in. Okay, and obviously to coach in and watch, whatever you want to. I've done all three of that, so definitely good to go check that out. If there is a Game 5, it will be Sunday here at the John Rhodes at 7 o'clock. That is only if Blind River does win tonight. Okay, or if they win on Friday, if they win one of the games instead of two, we'll for sure have a game here in the Soo on Sunday, March the 24th at 7 o'clock. So keep an eye on the Thunderbirds ticker, and we'll keep you updated as we go here tonight with the Game Sports Show live from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill, where it is a typical Hockey Tuesday. On the right side, we have some local free skating going on. I feel like I should watch out. There's some good talent out there. I might have to recruit for men's league next year. On the other side, you got some good hockey practice going on, some good fun times here at the Roads. I miss those days. Young hockey practice, time with parents, with coaches, the good old days. I got to give a shout out to Joe Longo when I think of the good old days. When
Longo coached me.
Coached you. Yeah, I got
He could tell you some stories from when he coached me in midget.
He actually told me a couple stories about you, and I totally forget because he does follow the show. He has listened, and I hope that Joe tunes into this one and sends me a message. I definitely hope Joe is doing well.
About the water gun. I don't know if he's told you the water gun story.
No, I don't know the water gun story. Do you want to share it on air? We got a couple minutes before we go to break.
Long story short, it involves basically Joe squirting us with a water gun that was one of ours at one point. I believe was the issue. We had a lot of good times. Second year midget. Bus trip to Sudbury, playing in Valley East, and it was. We had a lot of fun times. Joe could tell some stories about that team. We were a bit of a goon squad. I mean, we had the most penalty minutes in the league, and it was double the second place team.
Okay.
So we were nobody pushed us around.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
We were tough. Few suspensions. We had more suspensions than some teams had games lost to suspensions.
I gotta ask Joe about that. I'd like to get Joe on the show sometime.
Yeah,
there's a guy who's well known locally, coached many teams and
all different levels.
At all different levels, and I'll never forget all the good times that we had. I know we're kind of veering off topic, but the whole point of that is memories when you were younger. And that's when I look at the ice. I'm only 27 years old, turning 28. I gotta watch, but make myself seem older. But again, you always remember the good times. So you know what? If you're listening, you're a bit younger, give your mom and dad a hug and say thank you for all they did. How about that? Let's add that to the show. A little bit of feel good. Speaking of feel good, Northern Critters in Need. I still have Kendrick that I've been fostering. Northern Critters in Need has done an amazing job with rescuing. There's a new one that they've posted about getting pellets from a gun shot into them, and they rescued Renzo, I believe as I pronounce the name. They do an amazing job, Northern Critters in Need. And Kendrick, I've had him for a couple weeks now. Love the dog. He's amazing, and he is up for adoption. I can't keep him due to different circumstances in my life going on. So if you need to have a good friend and a dog, Kendrick's available. Or also, I definitely believe in the adopt portion through Northern Critters in Need. Gotta give Northern Critters a little shout out here on the show from Icebreakers, where it's also powered by Northern Superior Brewing Company. Brad and I are going to take a break. We stuck on time there. We're under 20 minutes in that first part. Look at that. When we come back, so we're going to talk Lake State. We're going to talk some Hounds going into their first round of the playoffs. And then we got some more bonus talk here in part 3 with yours truly. Maybe Brad, depending on his time, for the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. We're going to hear from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show wants to thank its original home, partner, and sponsor since 2015, Sportscenter Bar and Grill, named the Soo's best sports bar for 3 years in a row. Sportscenter Bar and Grill is located on 624 Wellington Street West in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Make sure to come on down to Sportscenter to enjoy the great atmosphere with great cold beverages available, including those delicious Molson products. Don't forget about their famous 75-cent wing nights on Wednesdays. They're truly the best wings in town. Like and follow SportsCenter on Facebook at SportsCenter SSM. We look forward to seeing you today. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, the Soo's best sports bar.
This is Andy Frost, and this is the only regional sports show in the Twin Saults. This is the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. It's Dave McCaig, joined here with Brad Coccimiglio, co-host of the Game Sports Show. We're here at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill, and great time here at Icebreakers. Not only a great atmosphere, but we're talking old memories off air. We're talking about the times that we had looking at these practices and these free skates and the good times, I would like to say. And you're bringing up Lammons Printing. People want to know what Lammons Printing is. I guess you can just reach out to Joel Longo, one of the great coaches of youth hockey of all time here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. But we're moving on from the youth hockey and the local hockey with the NOJHL. We got some more local hockey to talk about with the Lake Superior State University Lakers and also with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. And we're going to go first with across the river with the Lakers. Now, the Lakers are done their season, unfortunately, after 2 losses against Minnesota State. We talked about it yesterday on the show from the Wicked Sister. Great season for Lake State. They should not be putting their head down. Obviously, you'd like the season to be prolonged and you'd like to be continuing to play, but Minnesota is one of the best teams in the nation, right? I believe they're one of the higher ranked teams in the nation, to be exact. I don't have the exact number in my head currently written down here, but Minnesota was and is a very good hockey team, and in those games, they were smart defensively. And Lake State was in each game, though. They didn't get blown out. And when it comes to Lake State this year, the Lake Superior State University Athletics had a year totally with 23-13-2 as a record, and they won the Great Lakes Invitational, which was absolutely huge for Lake State. They had 2 of those losses was against Minnesota, as I mentioned this previous weekend, 2-1 and 2-0. Tight games to lose in, very tight games. Brad, I want to get your perspective on the previous games against Minnesota for Lake State to be eliminated, and just about Lake State in general, how people should be excited about Lake State and their program going forward.
Yeah, I mean, now, it was obviously a tough series. I mean, you're losing to, essentially one of the best teams in the country, coached by Mike Hastings, who I believe was involved with the U.S. National Junior Team's coaching staff. Again, like you said, they were close games, so it's not like they were blown out in either game. I feel like this was a big, important year for Lake State because, over the last 4 years, things, and even before then, things didn't look good. The last few years, there were a lot of struggles for this franchise, for this school. Yeah. So for them to come out and have a year like this, the biggest thing now is building on it next year. My biggest question now is going to be, how do they build on this? Can they take the momentum from what they saw this year and turn it into another good year next year? Because all of a sudden, if you have a couple of good years like that, all of a sudden recruiting gets a little bit easier.
Does it even get easier next year? Because
I think it does. I think it does. Like, I think a year like this helps a little bit because, they were nationally ranked a little more often this year. They were nationally ranked by U.S. College Hockey Online a little more this year than they have been. This was the first time they hosted a playoff series in a while. It's probably, I don't have the year offhand, but I would say probably 7 or 8 years at least.
I think it's been more 8. I think Scott said 8.
So it's been a while since they've hosted a playoff series. It's been a while since they've been this good. So I think it helps a little bit. I think it does help, recruiting over the next year or two. Their recruiting class, their incoming freshman class for next year is pretty well set. But, I think, hey, you could get a transfer or two, potentially. You could get a kid that says, hey, I want to go up to Northern Michigan and play at Lake State.
Because of what they had. Now, you have the teams that they go against is Minnesota's. They got the schools that may be more attractive.
Yeah.
But I've always been a fan of players that look at their best interest, not just for the teams that they want to play for, but for themselves.
Yeah.
If you're a star player that's in Southern Michigan or out of state even, and you have an opportunity to go to a local university, sure, that's attractive. But Minnesota's a big school. Bigger, right? I believe the size is much bigger. Yeah, big school, right? If you have other schools that are bigger like that, there are more players to choose from. Where you look at Lake State, maybe you'll be a third line guy, less minutes, but you go to Lake State, maybe you get the opportunity to be that top 6 guy. Yeah. Then you really flourish your talent. Then you become a superstar. You get that opportunity to play. And playing at Lake State is not a bad place to play. They have history. They have a great fan base. They have a great organization there that is going in the right direction. A school that has changed their direction a whole lot. And they've had a lot of success in the early 90s, late 80s, right? They were one of the highest coveted schools.
5-time national champ.
Doug Waite played there. I'm missing a few names.
Rolston played there.
Rolston. A lot of big names that played there. And guess where they played after they played in Lake State?
Yeah, they played pro.
I think they played pro. Last I remember, Doug Waite is still involved in hockey. Last I checked, I believe he is still coaching. I'm sure I'll get the news on that. Or do you know if he is?
I would have to,
look, I'll get producer goes to kind of look it up right now, and he is actually okay. Let me get this exact quote from producer Ghost. Just fired it over. Seems like he knew. Is an American professional ice hockey coach, executive, and former player, and he's also the former head coach, assistant general manager of the New York Islanders. So that was his background in terms of coaching. So now he was relieved of his duties with the Islanders, but he went there to coach, and he obviously played some successful hockey, in the National Hockey League. And we're kind of veering off topic, but if you have Lake Superior State as a school in mind, don't ever cross them off because you think they're a smaller school. They had a great turnaround this year, and they should be getting some good considerations for recruitment. And like you said, continues forward and keeps getting better. And as it gets better, it will be really positive for the school. Lake State. Speaking of next year, quick, Brad, before we do move on to talk about the Hounds in terms of their first-round playoff matchup against Owen Sound, are you expecting changes with Lake State, or do you expect them to have a splash this summer in terms of recruiting, be really active on the recruiting market, or do you feel like this program is going to stay neutral and kind of not see what they can get, but keep it neutral with recruiting and just keep going the direction that they're going? Because
I think their recruiting class for next year is pretty well set. Unless there's some last-minute changes or some walk-ons, in the fall. Yeah, that would not end well. That would not end well for someone. That someone being me. I would have to go back to the days and goon it up because that would be the only way I'd even have a shot, and even then I wouldn't have a shot. Yeah, I mean their incoming freshman class is pretty well set for next year. But like I said, I mean this could have an effect, on future recruiting classes. I know, Damon Witten and Mike York and the staff over there are going to be.
Mike York's a big add to that staff.
Yeah,
former pro as
well.
well.
Pro, yeah. I mean a former pro, who's involved with the Edmonton Oilers organization, for a number of years. I believe he was involved with the Rangers for a while. So he's a guy who's been around. He's been around the game, and let's face it. If Mike York comes knocking on your door, says, I want you to be a Laker. Hey, you know what? I mean, that's not a bad thing. I mean, he's a guy who's got is pretty well known and pretty well respected around college hockey circles as well. So, that's a school that's in good shape right now, and it's going to be interesting to see how they can build on the success that they had this year.
They definitely did have success. Very happy that being a part with covering the Lakers here on the Game Sports Show, which is obviously brought to you by one of the stop-ins after the Lakers is the Wicked Sister, being a part with the Game Sports Show and obviously with the Lakers as well. And very excited to see what next year brings for LSSU Lakers men's athletics. And we will keep tabs on them for the off-season as well. Now, Soo Greyhounds, Brad, we're going to transition to the OHL. The Hounds finished their regular season strong, defeating Saginaw by a score of 6-3 was the score against the Saginaw Spirit. I didn't get a buzz from producer Ghost. I didn't look at the thing there. 5-2. There you go. There came the buzz. 5-2, against Saginaw. They defeated London 6-3. Okay, sorry, producer Ghost. So London 6-3 on Friday. Saginaw 5-2. They did win in overtime against Saginaw on the Thursday 2-1. Okay.
Which is an unfortunate thing because you don't know at the time, but that point that they gave up in the overtime game was
the deciding
difference between them winning the division and then finishing third.
See, every point is valuable. And there's games this year that I look back on, Flint Firebird games, where they had a chance to win the division, but they did finish very strong.
And I will say this, in talking to John Dean, for them, home ice isn't, winning the division wasn't, the biggest priority. It was playing good hockey.
And getting ready for that.
Yeah, he told reporters after, and I was involved in that, is, late in the year, I believe it may have been after the Saginaw game over the weekend, he said, if you had asked him a few months ago, he would have said that winning the division was probably, kind of on the radar. But closer to the end of the year, he wasn't focused on winning the division. He was focused on playing good hockey.
Yeah. Obviously, you have goals. You want to accomplish accomplishments as a team. But, again, ultimately, it's getting back to playing that good hockey because they had a little bit of a slump.
Yeah,
and
we talked about it last week, and I made the point that, let's face facts. Home ice only really comes into play if you go into a Game 7.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's the only time it comes in, and even then,
it's not.
Even then, if you're the team that doesn't have it, you still have to win a game on the road at some point in that series. It just happens to be Game 7.
See, unfortunately, well, for me this weekend, I was away in Montreal and Ottawa, and I wasn't able to make the games this weekend, but obviously it was a fantastic trip to Montreal and Ottawa. Obviously, the Leaf game in Ottawa wasn't the best thing to watch. However, great experiences I had there, and I did miss these 3 games, which is the cue why I didn't really. I obviously followed the games and remember the score because usually we're always at games here on the Game Sports Show for the supporting with the Sault Ste. Greyhounds. But I'll say that finishing the season strongly they did against London and Saginaw was a good point to go into the playoffs with. Yeah. Now they have their playoff series against Owen Sound is who they're playing. They played Owen Sound last year in the second round and the year before. In round 2, and I believe the Hounds lost round 2 a couple years ago. They won round 2 last year at home, and that series had so many goals.
That 7 in that series, the Greyhounds ended up winning 9-7.
9-7, that's right. And they were up 9-3.
2 or 9-3 in that.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Now, this might be kind of a different year and all that, but the Hounds do get underway. Puck drop Thursday and Saturday, both at 7:07 at the GFL Memorial Gardens. They play on the road Monday and Wednesday, and if necessary, they're back here next Friday. So, Brad, round one preview with the Sault Ste. Greyhounds, what we're going to jump into. We talked about the Lakers for about 8 minutes. We're the 12-minute mark, so we got about 7.5 to 8 minutes to go here on the second part. So the floor is wide open. Talk about the round one here against the Owen Sound attack. Yourself being really extremely tied with the Hounds and seeing Owen Sound a lot more than myself has been able to see Owen Sound this year. What can the fans expect from Owen Sound? What can the Hounds expect from Owen Sound? What can Owen Sound expect from the Hounds? And what is this overall playoff series going to look like? Is it going to be what as expected? Because I believe the experts, from what I read today, I believe a lot of experts picked the Hounds to win in 5. From what I saw online, looking at a lot of the other sports experts in Southern Ontario and kind of talking to some people, the general consensus has been 5. But is the series going to be that? Is it going to be less? Is it going to be more games? What's your take, my man?
Yeah, it's you know what I mean. I look at it as a series that's probably going 4 or 5 games. I mean, Owen Sound doesn't have the firepower right now to compete with the Greyhounds in a 7-game series. That being said, the Owen Sound attack for a very young hockey club work extremely hard. Yes, they do. Alan Letang's got that team buying in as far as work ethic. And that's going to be, for me, that's probably the most impressive thing about that hockey club is just the fact that they work. The Greyhounds, the Greyhounds can get by on skill a lot of days. And I mean, the game that Owen Sound played here, the Greyhounds got by because they were the more skilled team. They didn't play the best game in that. Owen Sound was the better team, but the Greyhounds' skill got them through that game. I remember John Dean telling us that he wasn't happy with that game at all. But on the flip side, Alan Letang was extremely pleased with the way Owen Sound played, and I don't blame him. They were really good in that game. The upside for Owen Sound is the fact they've got a guy like Aiden Dudas, who's been in the league for a few years, draft pick of the LA Kings, Trenton Bourque, a veteran defenseman in that league. Their goaltending is going to be, I don't want to say an issue. Their goaltending is going to be a key piece for them in terms of keeping things close. The positive is Matt Guzda is, essentially in his second year. He didn't play, he played fairly regularly last year, but he did start Game 7 against the Greyhounds in last year's series. So he does have that experience to kind of go back on. So he knows what he's getting into. That's an Owen Sound team again. They're going to get by in work ethic. I talked to Alan Letang on the phone the other day, and they're kind of looking to get where the Greyhounds are. They're looking to build that puck possession style, but they're a team right now that's on the bottom end because they moved a lot of veterans. They moved defenseman Marcus Phillips, who was a high-end defenseman. They moved Nick Suzuki. There's still a little bit of talent there, but they're not very deep, but they work hard. That's what we can expect out of them. As far as the Greyhounds, I think they're ready. The last weekend of the regular season, we saw 3 pretty good efforts out of them. So that's huge, especially after a stretch where they weren't playing very good hockey. They were kind of Jekyll and hiding their way through, through a stretch there. So, they're back to play. They seem to be back to playing good hockey. They're going to be, healthy going into the playoffs. Barrett Hayton's back to 100%. He played Morgan Frost. Morgan Frost played. Morgan Frost played Sunday afternoon against Saginaw.
Yeah, that's right.
Barrett Hayton sat that game out, but it was it was rest. Matt Villalta sat that game out for rest. Keegan Howdeshell was out. He was under the weather, but he's
47 goals if I recall.
Yeah, 47 or I think 48. 48. I think he ended up with 47 or 48.
Yeah.
So he had a real good year. He's a guy who's played well enough to get himself a contract.
He's getting a phone call from somewhere, and I think it might be from a guy in the blue and white this year.
And it would be well deserved, and Keegan is an outstanding kid too. I know I say that about a lot of the guys on that team, but it's well deserved. They've got a very good group.
46 goals.
Okay,
46.
So they've got a group that's really bought in. These guys would go through a wall for John Dean. So they're in a good position. It's hard to play against a team who buys in and believes. And I feel like the Greyhounds are there, and that could be tough for a lot of teams. Obviously the ideal scenario would have been winning the division and having home ice through rounds 1 and 2. And especially now that if you get through round 1, you're looking at probably playing Saginaw in round 2. The ideal scenario there, if I was the Greyhounds, would have been Saginaw overtaking London for the conference title, because then you're looking at London in round 2, and London, the last time London Knights beat the Greyhounds felt like the last time I was good at hockey. It's been a while. It's been like that Greyhound team, just for whatever reason, has been able to find that gear when they play London. Not that they haven't against Saginaw, but they found that gear against London. But at the end of the day, they still would have to play Saginaw at some point to get to the final anyway. So, this is a Greyhound team that, just like I said, they believe, they bought in, and they're going to be a tough out, for anybody going forward here.
I think Owen Sound is going to bring some competitiveness and hard work to the Hounds. Let's have to try to play that two-way style against the Hounds and really shut down the firepower that the Hounds do have. The Hounds at the other end, they need to capitalize on their opportunities when they get them. Don't take Owen Sound lightly, and also keep discipline. I think that's the big thing with the Hounds, is keeping very disciplined. And another big key for the Hounds that goes without saying is with Matt Villalta. He's going to be a big piece of that playoff run for the Hounds. Last year in the playoffs, I think he did let a lot of goals in. Did play well, though, he did. But he did let a lot of goals in. He's going to try to keep those numbers down and stop and make those big saves when they need it. Make that first, if not second save, and then rely on the defense to get the third opportunity out, then get the offense, go down the other way, and try to capitalize on scoring. Speaking of scoring, the Hounds have that. I think this series is going to go, I'm going to stick with the experts. I'm going to go 5, and I know we're experts though too, Brad. I know we're maybe more self-appointed, but we've had this show for 4 years. I like to put ourselves in that status. So I'm going to say we are one of those experts, but speaking of the individuals who are well-known experts in terms of the television that you watch every day, that is a consensus, and I think that is a fair assessment that the Hounds will win in 5 games is my prediction. Speaking of that though, Brad, I want to give a little shout out to Morgan Frost. First thing, 58 games, 109 points this year. Guy had 72 assists. Who else had 72 assists this year? Nobody else. More people did have goals, but Morgan Frost did his part. 58 games, 109 points. The leader this year was Jason Robertson from Niagara with 117 points in 62 games.
He had a great last weekend, too.
He did, and he has 4 more games than Morgan Frost. Morgan Frost finished with 8 points behind. So people would wonder if he would have caught up. I don't know. Morgan might have. Depends who he played. But definitely Jason Robertson improved. But you got guys like Justin Brazeau. Like there's guys that played 68 games and tied.
Justin Brazeau had 60 goals this year.
61 goals, which led the OHL. And also this
guy who's going to get a contract.
He sure is going to get a contract. You have Ty Fellhaber from Ottawa, obviously, who had 109 points, 59 goals, 50 assists. I love the balance.
Recently signed with the Dallas Stars.
Yes, big. That is big. Those players are going to get the look. Justin's going to get that look. You got to think Keegan Hallershall's going to get that look.
Justin Brazeau, and the thing, and it's a little off topic, but the thing I like about him is the big man skill.
Yeah, and
he is a big body, but his hands are absolutely outstanding.
6'6", 226.
The fact that this guy, he had a good year last year in North Bay. Obviously, it wasn't 60 goals good. But he had a real good year last year in North Bay. How nobody has taken a flyer on him is beyond me. Because this guy's skill is absolutely outstanding for a guy his size.
75 points last year.
Yeah, he had a good year. Yeah, and that's a very good year. I mean, in Major Junior, that's an extremely good year. Mm-hmm. And he plays in a system that's defensive in North Bay. I mean, Stan Butler doesn't like to call it a defensive system, but it really is. So for a guy to put up those numbers over 2 years and to be that size, it's scary to think that, this guy's putting up the numbers he does. And, it's because the guy's got a ton of skill. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get a contract this summer from someone.
See, there's a name that really sticks out to me who I feel didn't have the best of all years. And it could be, due for who he's playing with at times, but Matthew Strome. 79 points. 28 goals. I thought he was going to have a stronger year this year. And where's TSN? I'm talking about Nick Suzuki in comparison to Morgan Frost. Saying how Nick Suzuki had more points than Morgan Frost last couple of years. Let's relook at those facts, people. I tweeted at TSN. I didn't get a response. I don't say they don't like corrections. Morgan Frost had more points. He had one less game this year, and he also had 109 minus 94, 15 more points. Just saying, Morgan Frost does put up the numbers. I'm expecting some big things in the playoffs from Morgan Frost. Now, Brad, any final thoughts before we go to our break, before we get to our final topic in terms of the Hounds playoffs?
Yeah, it's that time of year. It's the fun is beginning. The season is, basically 2.5 months left in the Canadian Hockey League season now.
Blink and it was done.
Yeah,
which is amazing. But the Game Sports Show is never done. And we got a little bit more to talk about here tonight. We went 3 minutes extra. I'm getting the buzz from Producer Ghost to get to the next part.
Producer Ghost is angry with me.
Producer, he usually is, and that's fine. Producer Ghost can bite me. I'm just kidding. Don't turn off the radio or anything like that. Dave McCaig here alongside Brad Coccimiglio here at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. We're going to come back. It's going to be a quick 3-minute segment. I promise you that. It's going to be a little teaser for our Thursday edition of the Game Sports Show. We got more sports talk here on the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. Dave McCaig alongside Brad, as I mentioned. We're here from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum, right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm non-bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Soo Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Hi, it's Craig Hartsburg, former NHL player and NHL coach. Welcome to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show, the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. I'm here with Brad Coccimiglio, one of my co-hosts with the Game Sports Show. Before we jump into our quick and dirty thing, I got to give a little plug. And no, Brad, this doesn't count towards a 3-minute hot take that we're going to have. This is a little promotion for the upcoming shows for the Game Sports Show. We will be at Sportscenter Bar and Grill. That will be tomorrow. Myself and Jamie Antonello are confirmed to be there at Sportscenter at 9 o'clock. Dustin Grondin and Justin Heichel are tentative right now, but it seems like Justin will be there for sure on SportsCenter's edition tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so make sure you don't miss out on that. Make sure to check out our previous edition from the Wicked Sister on Monday, as I mentioned numerous times, and also make sure you put in your agendas for our Thursday edition of the Game Sports Show. We have an earlier edition at 5 o'clock. We will be at Northern Superior Brewing Company, and we'll be joined by, not a stranger to the show, NHL defenseman Colin Miller will be coming on by to join the Game Sports Show right live from Las Vegas. And probably is a nice pad or a nice location that he'll be chilling in to be talking to yours truly and to you, the listeners, and everything sorts, where he'll be talking about the season with Las Vegas, his reaction with the NHL playoffs. There's some topics. So if you have some questions you want to get into with Colin Miller, don't hesitate to ask me, and I will ask Colin for you. Colin Miller, former Hound, former Thunderbird, and backtracking, and former White Pines Wolverine. That is a high school team, and he was a great defenseman there, let me tell you. And as he evolved and grew, he grew into playing in the AHL, and then he got the opportunity to play in Boston, and then he got drafted in the expansion draft to Las Vegas, and he has not looked back. Very excited to catch up with Colin, as I haven't talked to him, actually, since the previous time, really, since he's been on the show. I've been texting him a whole bunch, but to finally hear his voice again and come on the show, be good to catch up with him as well. So that'll be good to have Colin on the show for the Thursday edition from Northern Superior Brewing Company. And it'll be only me and Dane on that Thursday as with the panel members. Brad, if you have nothing going on, more than welcome to come on Thursday as well. I know the Hounds do play at 7 o'clock, so I know that's unlikely for yourself, but I'll extend that invitation to you. But that transitioned us perfectly into this. The bonus topic that we're going to talk about is every Tuesday edition that we do the show. The show originally was supposed to be on Sundays, by the way. We moved it to Tuesdays. It just made sense. Where we have a little bonus topic that we bring up that's either a teaser for the Wednesday edition or if it's a teaser for the Thursday edition. We've had previous teasers where we talked about the NFL free agency before we had our SportsCenter show, but we're going to do a teaser for the Northern Superior Brewing Company edition show. Okay, and it's about the NHL. And what's that segment going to be about, you say? It's going to be about the playoff format in the National Hockey League. We did talk about it before on the show briefly. We did bring it up yesterday and the Wicked Sister edition briefly. And Brad, I know you will most likely not be there on Thursday, but just myself and Dane. So I'm going to have to ask you about the playoff format in terms of if you feel that the playoff format should be changed. Now, before I hit the start time on that 3-minute, like I said, I want your take on it, short, brief, and quick. I've had Justin and Dane's take on it. Me and Dan are going to talk about it briefly on Thursday. I think it leads perfectly into our NHL talk for our Thursday edition. I want to give you the floor, my friend. NHL playoff format, do you like it, or is it time to change it again?
So,
right on the spot.
Debating whether or not it should be changed. So should it be changed? My short answer is no.
Okay.
And I know that's not the popular answer. I really do, because I know basically every Tom, Dick, and Harry says it needs to be changed.
Yep.
Yeah. My reasoning is this. I get, and the thing is this debate comes up in the OHL all the time. And this debate is going to come up in round 2 in the OHL this year. A lot of people in the OHL want it changed to a 1-16 format.
Okay, like that's NCAA kind of.
Almost, yeah, right? So basically, the Ottawa 67s in round 1 would be playing whoever the bottom seed is, and I'm not sure which one it is offhand, which of the 8 seeds was the bottom seed. So
Ghost, what do you got?
The theory there is the fact that, let's give the top seed, the easiest route to the final. I get that. Some people argue with, you're going to lose in the Western Conference.
Windsor.
Yeah, so you'd be looking at Ottawa, Windsor in round 1.
Then London would actually be playing between Hamilton, Bruce goes going to tell me here, 28 wins compared to 29. They would be playing Sarnia.
So you'd be looking at, so in that situation, a lot of people want, basically to have a 1-16 format because they figure it's easier. And I get it. issue with that is because, like, a lot of people have said, and I get it, you're going to lose in the Western Conference. Chances are you're going to lose two very good teams in the OHL in round 2. You're going to lose two of probably London, Guelph, Saginaw, or the Greyhounds. Two of those teams aren't going to make it to round 3. You know, you look at the NHL playoffs and the NHL format. There are going to be some very good round 2 matchups. My argument is this. You're still going to have to play those teams. If you change the format, you're still going to have to play those teams at some point and beat them to get to the final. What's the difference if you beat them in round 2 or round 3? You know, if Toronto and Boston play in round 2, you know, what's the difference if they're two high-end teams? What's the difference if, you know, Toronto beats Boston in round 2 or Toronto beats Boston in round 3? Is there really that much of a difference? Because at the end of the day, you still have to beat that team in a 7-game series to move on. It's just happening earlier.
And that's
there's also a possibility that if that happens, if you play that team in round 2 and beat them, you might have an easier route the following round.
Yep.
You know, if you're let's say, for example, and I'll throw it out this way. We mentioned earlier about the Soo Greyhounds and their dominance of the London Knights over the last few years and how well they've played against them, and how ideally you would, if you're the Greyhounds, you would want to play London in round 2. Now, let's say the Greyhounds and Saginaw play in round 2, and then everybody figures that it's going to be London, Guelph, and Saginaw and the Greyhounds in round 2. If you're the Greyhounds and you go out and beat Saginaw in round 2, all of a sudden you're playing London in the conference finals, a team that you've dominated over the last few years. So all of a sudden, instead of playing a Saginaw team that's given you trouble and played you very well this year, all of a sudden, instead of playing them in the conference final, you're playing a London team that you beat in like 11 or 12 straight meetings in the regular season. All of a sudden, your road to a league final may have gotten easier by beating a team one round earlier.
So it's the same thing if Toronto plays the Tampa Bay Lightning in the second round, because let's be real, Tampa Bay is landslides ahead of everybody.
Absolutely.
They just clinched the President's Trophy yesterday.
Yeah, so if you knock off a team like that earlier in the playoffs,
which is not far-fetched either.
No, I mean, it's
drops the wild card.
Yeah, it's
playing Tampa Bay in the first round.
But that's what I mean, right? Like you could look at it, and like I get the argument for changing the format. I get it. I understand. And you know what? For me, in the long run, whether it stays this way or it changes, to me, it doesn't really matter as long as the playoffs are good hockey. But is it really that big of an issue? You still have to win games to get to the final.
I think Toronto fans just want to see them play Boston in the first round.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it.
Sarcasm. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and I get
Pittsburgh,
it.
Washington, it's happened. But again,
That's
like you
just
said, I couldn't
it.
agree more. You got to beat the teams to get there.
You're still going to have to win, and you know what?
Last year, Washington slayed the Dragon, and guess what? They got the cup last year.
You know, you still, you know what? You may be, if you beat a team one round earlier, you may be setting yourself up for an easier road in the following round. You don't know.
Yeah.
You know, would you be arguing to change the format if you know, and I'll go back to using the junior hockey example because it's what I know well. You know, if you're the Soo Greyhounds and you beat Saginaw in round 2, you know, like I said, all of a sudden you may have an easier road to a league final. You know, does it really matter if you beat Saginaw in the second round or the third? You still have to win games. At the end of the day, you still have to go win. Yeah.
When you win that last game is what matters.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Brad,
I'll say your take is the change, or not the change it, sorry, and that you like it the way it is because you got to play them anyways. I agree with that point for sure. I only say change not because of Toronto playing Boston, not because of Washington playing Pittsburgh, not because of the Predators playing the Jets. I say the change, if it does happen, is taking it where you keep the same format, top 3 teams from each division, the 2 wild cards, but then you seed them 1 to 8. That's the one change that's kind of attracted to me because Toronto still might be playing Boston in that resort. Yep. I don't think it would be actually. I think Toronto would not be playing the second place in the Metro. I think it might be Washington or the Islanders, but wouldn't that be something? JT against the Islanders. But anyways, my whole point is if I want to see change, and I'll get into this more on Thursday, is maybe I am for change. But what do you think of Brad's take? No change? I get his point. Very good points, Brad. Went a little bit above, but that's fine. You stated your point. You're not there tomorrow, so I'm going to let that slide. Well, I know I sent you the invite. I probably know you're not going to come, but maybe you'll surprise me. Most likely not. The Hounds are in action on Thursday in Game 1 of the playoffs, so I know you'll be there for coverage. Unfortunately, I will not be there in coverage. We're hoping that Dane is able to go to cover on behalf of the Game Sports Show so we get the listeners our full take next week here, as you are actually out of town for the game, as we hope that the Hounds are in a good position going to 1-7, potentially going to sweep the series at that point, or at least up 3-1 coming back to the Soo. We'll see how that goes. 5 games, 4 games. What do you think about the Hounds? Everything that we talked about, myself and Brad. What do you think about Lake State season? And what do you think about the Soo Thunderbirds and the Eagles? Let's talk about the Thunderbirds for 1 second. Okay, the Soo Thunderbirds are currently in action and getting those results of the game. The Soo Thunderbirds, the unofficial final in the game is 3-2 Blind River. So there will be a Game 5, it seems, from the John Rhodes Community Centre on Sunday, the 24th. But Blind River and the Soo do go against each other on Friday in BR at 7 on the 22nd. Lots of hockey to catch up on here locally. Make sure that you keep your news and updates tied here on the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show. I want to say thanks to Scott Nason, our board operator tonight. I want to thank you to listeners for stopping on by as always. Producer Ghost was quite active tonight as well. I want to say thank you to him, her. Jody Wilson and Mitch Wilson here at Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. And make sure to you, the listeners, again, keep an eye out for that contest or contests giveaway through Facebook and Instagram this week. Very excited for the listeners to get involved in this contest. Brad, of course, to you, my friend, for coming on by tonight. No, like I said, won't be here next week. We'll try to get you at least some recordings for the Thursday show or something to do something. But want to say have fun this weekend. Have a safe trip when you go away next week. And we'll definitely be in touch, my friend. And thanks for coming on by tonight, as always.
Yeah, we'll be in the big metropolis. And I use big, yeah. If anyone's been to Owen Sound, they know that's not true. It's a very small city, but it's, you know what? It's always a great time. This is the 3rd year running that I've made the trip to Owen Sound for playoff games. Great rink to watch games in. I love it. It's an interesting, very low ceiling, so it's a lot of fun. It can get loud in there, and it's gonna be a blast. It's a long drive going around the lake, but we'll be there and settled in.
See, Owen Sounds and the Hounds, it'll be a very exciting series. The NHL, we talked about here in the final part of the show. Playoff series, we'll talk about that more on Thursday. Again, remind listeners, tomorrow Sportscenter, 9 o'clock, Northern Superior at 5 o'clock with special guest Colin Miller coming by this week. Thanks to all of our sponsors as well for what they do. In particular, shout out to Eagle 95.1 and what they do for the show. A lot of big things happening this year, going to next year for the show on Eagle 95.1 as well. Very excited. I'm here to remind listeners as well before I sign off, keep your sticker on the ice, swing your bat, catch your touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.